On the show, in Wheel Spin, we drive the recently launched Toyota Camry Hybrid. In Face to Face, we meet Samir Gaur, the MD of BIC. On the track, BIC gets ready for the Indian GP. And on the road, we drive the Fiat Punto to Silvassa. It's always nice to breathe some fresh air, but the cities are getting polluted, and it's the automobiles and the automobile manufacturers who are being blamed the most for it. But the real culprit here is fossil fuel. And to their credit, the automobile manufacturers have been really working hard to find an alternative to fossil fuel. And hopefully their collective efforts will pay off soon. And one such effort is this, the hybrid version of cars. Hybrid cars have clearly emerged as a frontrunner in an effort to find an alternative to fossil fuel. And manufacturers have been offering full-fledged production hybrid variants for many years now. And this Toyota Camry here is an example of that. Toyota launched the Camry here recently and deliveries start in January. And there haven't been too many hybrids in India, so this is certainly worth a close look. The concept of a basic hybrid car is simple. It uses a combination of conventional fossil fuel along with an electric motor powered by a set of lithium batteries, which are installed on board. The conventional fossil fuel engine continues to supply the primary power, while the electric motor takes over either at cruising speeds or even at starting and idling. At times when extra power is required and the throttle is pressed hard, it is the main engine which supplies the power. The result is better fuel mileage and low emission rates, as the engine when running on batteries is hardly polluting. The batteries get charged by the engine when it is running on regular fuel, or due to a process called regenerative braking. That is, when the brakes are used, the frictional energy generated is used to charge the batteries. But the downside of owning a hybrid car is that it's expensive, as hybrid technology is relatively new, and the cost of developing it has been huge. Secondly, the battery needs to be replaced at some point or the other, and that can be an additional cost. Also, the weight of the batteries is another concern. But with battery technology improving fast, these challenges have been overcome to an extent. Battery life and running cycles have improved to the extent that it has become a viable form of powering a motor car. And the cost too has come down. As you hit the start button, the first thing that strikes you is the absence of the familiar sound of a conventional engine turning over. It's absolutely quiet in here and there are hardly any vibrations. And as I engage the gear here, I can hear the first signs of the petrol engine out there waking up. The absence of any sound is quite unnerving for many a driver and also for pedestrians who can't hear the car coming. And this became a safety issue, so much so that many manufacturers are now installing a sound system to warn pedestrians of a car coming. Strange, isn't it? First we fight noise pollution and then we can't live without it, so we have to bring it back. Hybrid cars have not been total strangers to the Indian market. Two Japanese car makers, including Toyota, in the past had made half-hearted attempts to introduce hybrids in India. But then it was done more as a brand-building exercise than to really park the cars with the customers. Honda had launched the Civic Hybrid at a price which made it completely unfeasible. And then came the Toyota with the Prius, again at a price point which ensured that most of them never left the showroom. But with the Camry Hybrid, Toyota has two advantages. Firstly, hybrid technology has improved, and both the driving range and the shelf life of the batteries have increased considerably. In fact, Toyota is claiming that the battery has long shelf life and will not need any replacement. Secondly, they have added new features to the car, and the price difference between a regular Camry and the hybrid is much more reasonable at approximately Rs 5 lakhs more, and both these would make this hybrid Camry much more attractive for buyers. This is the engine mapping display here, and it tells you from where the power is coming. When you start the car, the green lights tell you that the car is running on the battery. But as you engage gear and move and you require more power, the gasoline engine comes alive. And the display now tells me that I am running more on gasoline power than on battery power. Actually, when you're driving this car and you forget that it's a hybrid, you'll be hard put to tell that there is anything different in this car, except for the fact that it's rather quiet in here. The driving dynamics are almost same as the regular Camry. There's enough power on the tap, and this Camry Hybrid can hardly be called sluggish. The combined power output is 205 PS, and the engine is mated to a transmission which also has a boost mode, equivalent of what many fast German cars call the Sport Plus or the Sport mode. Put the Camry into the boost mode and it instantly becomes fast and furious. The instrumentation cluster is very neatly laid out and very large dial, so you can easily read it, and very aptly it's in blue color, just to remind you that you're driving a car which is environment friendly. But initially you might be taken aback a bit by the lack of a tachometer. Instead of the tachometer, what you get in this car is a meter telling you the charge of the battery, and that's important. The good part in a hybrid is that even if you run out of battery charge, the gasoline engine will take you anywhere you want to go. But the reverse is not true. If you run out of gas, the battery charge is not enough to take you anywhere. So you have to ensure that there is enough gas in the tank, because technically you can still run out of gas. The 2.5-litre petrol engine comes mated to an ECVT transmission and is extremely fuel efficient for a car this size. According to ARI figures, it gives out 19.1 kilometers per litre. And also in terms of emission, it is certainly one of the least polluting, with carbon dioxide emissions of only 122 grams per kilometre. The interiors have more features than the regular Camry. Add-ons include a 3-way air conditioning, rear seat control for the AC and the stereo, and rear seats which are reclining by 8 degrees to add to the passenger comfort. The driver gets features like hill start assist to keep the car from rolling back on a steep road. This is where you might begin to notice the downside of owning a hybrid. Normally this would have been a large boot, but the boot has been chopped to make way for the batteries. Not only that, the batteries have added another 160 kgs to the weight of the car. In a car the size of Camry, it doesn't really matter because the engine has enough power to handle the extra weight and the boot still remains large enough. But in a smaller hatchback, this would be a major handicap. This Camry drives just as well as a regular one, and in terms of packaging it offers a whole lot more. And this is sure to soothe your environmentally aware consciousness. This is a feel-good car, and if you drive this, you will never have the pangs of hurting the trees and the plants around you. And at rupees 5 lakhs more, this is not really a bad deal. More so as you will save on the fuel bill. This gives an average of 19.1 litres according to ARI, and that's not bad for a car this size. And this is sure to save you some money. If you want a big compact which is high on fun and thrills and is environmental friendly, then I say, this is it.
Well, the Buddha International Circuit is obviously a world-class F1 facility. So, what has been the response to this year's race, and what special steps or, any new attractions have you planned to make this event a more memorable one?
The response vis-a-vis 2011 is definitely poorer. But with reference to 2012, I think we should equal the number of tickets which we sold in 2012. We tried to do a concert in 2012, but the response to it was not so great. So what we're trying to do is that first of all we will announce a driver and a fan involvement, some kind of that activity within the next couple of days. So that will be one major attraction. Apart from that, I think the race itself.
No race in 2014. Obviously, that's a bit disappointing. I thought there was an agreement for racing here for 5 years. So what's happened with that?
Well, we do have an agreement for 5 years, and the agreement still exists. And but 2014 we are not doing a race because of logistical reasons, because of the number of circuits and the number of races having been increased by FOM. They wanted to do a race in March, wherein we wanted to we insisted on the race in October, which we feel is a festive season. Examinations are over, Diwali time, Dussehra time, good climate, good weather. March, everything is against. Before the date is announced, before the calendar is supposed to be announced, and in 2015 we'll have a date which is mutually beneficial to both India and the FOM.
What have you got planned for next year? We believe MotoGP was coming in, or any other form of motorsport that you want to hold over here?
We have a contract with World Superbike right now. Either it's going to be in 2014, the World Superbike will be there.
What support do you expect from the government in terms of helping you host the Formula 1 race? This is a privately funded race and also must be quite expensive.
There are many indirect things which can be done by the government which will help boost tourism, as well as an incentive for the spectator who comes here, as well as for the circuit. It's not about the circuit, it's about the spectator value. And then secondly is to have schemes related to tourist attractions. Make it there may be more festivals which can be done in Noida and Greater Noida around that time. So on that day, it's not only about the circuit, it can be in and around the circuit. I think this is the third thing which the government should look into. Find talent, nurture that talent in motorsports.
And who is your favorite Formula 1 driver?
Vettel all the way. We've seen Vettel win in 2011 here, 2012. We'll be very happy if he wins in 2013 also. But my all-time favorite has been Michael Schumacher.
The stage is set, the equipment has started rolling in, and the Budh International Circuit is all spruced up and ready to host the 2013 Indian Grand Prix. In a little over a week's time, the circuit will come alive with the roar of F1 engines and thousands of screaming fans loud enough to wake up even the dead. Here at the circuit, one can literally feel the excitement in the air. A lot of activity is going on as the circuit prepares itself for the F1 circus to hit the town. So far, the equipment that's required to set up the team garages and buildings is being moved into their respective areas. Now, this includes the various computers, the hardware, the software, and of course the tire warmers. The kitchen equipment and all the other stuff required to set up the catering facilities has also arrived. The tires that will be used in the 2013 Indian Grand Prix, namely the hard compound and the medium compound tires, have also landed. The cars themselves, however, will be here early next week, which will soon be followed by the drivers, the team personnel, and of course the support staff. Now, this number alone will exceed about 6,000, and we're not even counting the marshals or any of the local people here required to run the race. The circuit itself is mostly ready, with just a few finishing touches being applied to get it back to its pristine condition. This includes painting of the curbs, fixing up the seats in the stands, and of course the landscaping work at the picnic stand. The Indian Grand Prix this year could actually see the World Championship being decided, and for that to happen, Sebastian Vettel only needs to finish no lower than 5th because of the massive points lead that he has. But knowing Vettel and his form this year, he's all out to win, so make sure you're here to witness this historic event.
Fiat. simple, isn't it? The term is whole and commanding. And while it is an acronym for Fabbrica Italiana Automobili Torino, it also means let there be in Latin. And since the start of the 20th century, this brand sure has been making its mark. Stylized by the ruby red dot, the Fiat badge has always stood for style and comfort. And with its characteristic and forward-thinking lines, as well as sporty styling, Fiat has hit the jackpot with the Punto. The Fiat Punto is driven by fun, and she's ready to strut down the tarmac catwalk, or should I say highway.
I'm on my way to Silvassa from Daman this morning. It's about 27 kilometers away and should take me about 45 minutes to reach. I'm driving the Fiat Punto 2013 and it's a really nice car. I had a very comfortable drive from Mumbai to Daman last week and now Silvassa is right around the corner. The Fiat Punto feels like an old friend, easy to drive, easy to park, and it has enough power for the highway. I also really like the finish of the car. It virtually has all the features possible to make a car really enjoyable.
Until the end of the 19th century, Silvassa was only a small village. In 1885, when it was still known as Vila de Paco de Arcos, a name which originated during the Portuguese rule, Silvassa was developed into a town. Now, as the capital city of the Union Territory of Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and with its many scenic locations, Silvassa has grown into a popular family vacation spot.
I've just reached Silvassa, which was a super short drive from Daman, and the road was quite scenic. Now that I'm here, one of the first things I want to do is visit the Silvassa Tribal Museum. The Tribal Museum of Silvassa depicts the lives and people of Silvassa. There's a beautiful local flavor here and a brilliant exhibit.
Silvassa is also considered as the home of the Warlis, the indigenous tribe. Now that sounds like the perfect place to start. The best way to get to know the way the tribals used to live their life is right here. The museum hosts photos that feature the lifestyle of the tribals. Equipment such as hunting, farming, fishing and household items, as well as their musical instruments, reveal the simplicity of their life. The Silvassa Art Gallery right next door was worth the stop. It has an interesting mix of Warli art on display from upcoming artists. I even considered buying a beautiful village painting and taking it home. But it was time to get back into the car and head back towards nature. One of the most interesting things to do around here is to visit the Lion Safari Park, which occupies around 25 hectares of the Dadra and Nagar Haveli Wildlife Sanctuary. This zone is also home to the tribals. As I walked towards the caged area, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. The staff at the park named this lioness Sonal. She seemed to be feeling extremely warm, but I was honored I had the chance to meet her.
What a beautiful sight. The Lion Safari makes an effort to provide a home for the Asiatic lion. You can only see these in the wild in Gujarat's Gir forest.
I now began what turned out to be one of the best drives I have ever been on. I was on my way to visit Dudhani Lake, situated on the downstream of the Daman-Ganga River near Madhuban Dam and nestled between lush green forests and hills. It was nice to see the local way of life while passing through these villages. En route, I spontaneously decided to visit Vrindavan, the temple dedicated to Lord Krishna and Shiva. Filled with the perfect blend of bends and curves, this road was simply top class. The pollution-free environment was so refreshing. It was just me, the road, and nature. The ride quality was excellent. I couldn't have been in a better mood when I finally arrived at Dudhani. To my surprise, I had a quaint little boat waiting just for me.
One look at Dudhani Lake and your heart will skip a beat. This is one of the most picturesque lakes I have ever seen. Located 35 kilometers from Silvassa, this is one place to come if you relish boating in a big lake.
Endowed with the bounty of nature, this was the perfect place to soak in the solitude.
I had a wonderful time visiting both Daman and Silvassa, but it's time to head back to Mumbai. The Fiat Punto has been a wonderful travel mate. She drives well and has enough space for both the boot as well as the cabin, and she has all of the features to keep me happy on a long drive. So if you have some time on your hands, I would suggest you head to Daman and Silvassa. You're in for a fun-filled weekend. See you next time.